Here to the Melissa's Kitchen. I hope you all are doing well. We have a special guest here, and I'm holding her book. This is the Karachi Kitchen. Standing alongside of me is Chef Kausar Ahmed. But let me tell you a little bit about. This is actually her first and only book, and I'm sure she has a couple in the works to come. But let me give you a little bit of background here. She was born in Karachi, Pakistan. She is a food stylist, a chef, and a cooking instructor for over 25 years of experience in the culinary arts, education, and advertising. Since her foray in culinary arts, Kausar has served as a chef, a food stylist, cooking show producer, and host, a culinary instructor in Pakistan and the United States. So she's not cooking and teaching here in the U.S. She's doing the same halfway across the world there in Pakistan, her hometown. She's an award-winning, international acclaimed entrepreneur that has worked with top global brands such as like Williams-Sonoma, Airbnb, Institute of Culinary Education, ICE, and more. She has taught classes over 400 public schools. She did this pro bono. Students in Karachi, in Oakland, in Los Angeles, and New York City. You get around, don't you? She currently resides, she comes from all the way from Seattle, where she is focused on Project Feast, a nonprofit social enterprise that empowers refugees and immigrant cooks. I'm sure she's going to talk a little bit more about that, but let's give it up for Chef Kausar.
Thank you. Thank you. When somebody's talking about all the work that I did, I've mostly forgotten it and I just move on. And then I say, oh yeah, I did that too. And so it has been many, many years. And I think I would say I started working at the age of 13 officially. When one summer vacation, my father said that, I was like, oh, last day of school, 2 months off, I'm going to be sleeping till noon. And the very next morning, my father wakes me up, and he was a chemical engineer and a scientist, but he was an educator first. So he helped to set up a lot of schools. He says, you're coming with me, and I dare not say no to him. So I go to him to one of the schools, and 13-year-old girl. So he introduced me to the principal, and he took me to the little toddler class, and he said, you're going to be working here all summer. So, I always say to my mom, I actually started working at 13. But I guess that's where I get the love of teaching, and that's where I get the love of connecting with people. And I get to meet people like you sitting over here. Thank you so much for being here today. And I'm extremely grateful to Melissa's, Robert, the amazing team over here who have done a fabulous job of making the delicious food. So what do you guys think about the food they made? So, and what I love best is the produce they have. And I'm not saying that because I'm here. I'm saying that, like the okra is the original okra for me. It is so good, just perfect to make. And they did a great job. And the oranges and the tamarind. I was so happy to see fresh tamarind. I remember spending my childhood stealing from the neighbor's tamarind tree. I mean, it was falling on our side, so I could do that technically. So, I was a total tomboy, but I think I come from a family. I'll before I move on to tell you how, and it is, I guess, a part of my whole inspiration about the book, which I launched in 2017. It was my daughter, my oldest daughter, pushed me to it. And I wasn't even thinking about it, but I was like always cooking and always feeding. And food always for me connected with everyone. And secretly, that's how I connected with my kids' friends to keep an eye on them. And it was the dining table, the food every single day, which pulled the kids over. Because when they become teenagers, you can't really tell them, you know, do this, do that. You have to be so careful. But it was the food that pulled them. So they realized a little too late. But but that the book itself goes back, and I'll just tell you a little about that so you understand a little more about my book. For me, it was more than a book. It was the goal was to connect with people around the world. I did not launch it in Pakistan, and my friends and family are pretty mad at me for that. And I said, you know what? I mean, you all know my work. I'm all connected with you. I give my classes and everything over here. But it is, I want to just move on to the world and, you know, connect with people and have conversations and meet amazing people. And that's what it's all about for me. So I come from a family of extremely empowered women. My grandmother, who was an amazing, small, stout lady, but we would all say, just don't judge her by her size. She can erupt anytime. She was like this powerhouse, and I grew up around her a lot. And what I saw was, and she had 17 kids. She had 17 kids, and a couple of them passed away, but then at least 12 were left. So I had all the aunts and uncles and their kids. So you can imagine, when we got together at her house, it was like a feast for us. And she loved cooking. She was the most amazing cook. And then at a very, I think, in the middle, my grandfather, he left her and remarried, and then she was left with all the kids and she had to raise them. She was the first woman, after partition, when she came down to Pakistan, she was the first woman to publish a magazine for women. She worked strongly and believed in women empowerment, and she had all kinds of women, all from all walks of life, always around her, giving them, mentoring them, guiding them. So I grew up seeing that. I grew up seeing how welcoming she was, how food was a basis of connecting with everyone around us. She would go for a walk in the morning and she would come back with at least 3 or 4 people she had, just met on the walk. And food was always laid out on the floor, and she knew that, aside from all of us, she's going to have at least 5 people. So I think it just came naturally to me. It did not matter about the religion, the ethnicity, the color. The caste or who they were. We would have conversations around that food and the delicious food. So a lot of inspiration, that's how my mother was, that's how my father was. My father traveled the world. He loved eating. My he believed in education. So I think the education and the teaching part I get from my father. And my mom also was always really hands on, cooking a lot. And all the recipes she had, a lot of them came down from generations. And my father's mom, she was from Bombay. So I got some amazing, you will see uh, carrot spice mix in the book. And that is, it's the achar basically. That is from my grandmother from Bombay. That's a special recipe she used to make, and we used to have that every single day. So when I wrote this book, I wanted to showcase how I was exposed and was familiar with all the different cultures and the cuisines. It was definitely the Pakistani food, but it was also, like, for example, there's a cake recipe in that, and it has great memories of how my mother made that cake, because at that time there was just one bakery in Karachi and we had no ovens, but we did have neighborhood tandoors where they made the naan, the clay ovens, and we used to get naan from there. And we had that cake. And my mom said, I need to make it. I said, well, good luck to you, because you don't have internet, no idea how you're going to do it. So one day she made the batter. Somehow I have still, she doesn't remember how she made it. She made the batter. She told me, I'm going to the tandoor, come with me. She goes there and she tells the guy, she had known him for years. And she says, can you put this pan into your clay oven? And he was like, no, are you kidding me? I'm not doing that. But ultimately, after a couple of tries, that's how her cake would be made. And then after many years, she bought the oven, because my father said, no, this has to be at home. So, connected to the stories, and how there's the apple pie recipe in it too, which everybody knows, but it's been very closely connected to me as my kids were growing up, how important each and every recipe is, being a part of my childhood and then my motherhood, and how I connected with people, having people for dinner, for lunch. So, and then for me, it was, that's how my book came out. That's how I wrote my book. And the little stories, some of the stories you'll read in that. And I'm a self-published author, so that was also a process, but I've had amazing people supporting me. And of course, my daughter behind me, always there. I call her my boss. So she is my boss, which I'm glad, because you can only do so much, right? So I said, okay, that's great. She handles all those things. Then regarding my teaching in Karachi, I mean, I've been teaching in San Francisco also, and in New York and LA as well. But I'll tell you a little about Karachi and my work over there, which is still ongoing right now. With my culinary classes, I was teaching in the mainstream schools because culinary teaching was not very common. And I thought that it is much needed, because I feel it develops the personality completely of the children and young adults as well. So I introduced it there. It was a very popular program. I was doing about 5 to 6 schools. Then I simultaneously moved on to the low income areas, because people who know me know I'm very, very daring. I'm just not scared of going into areas where no man would set foot, because of the communities and things like that. So at one point, I adopted a school in one of the neighborhoods over there where people had abandoned it. So I ran it for 2 years, and I built the community, and I had my culinary program running over there too. Then the government asked me if I could work with a nonprofit who's really, really good, and who adopted huge, one of the largest historical public school buildings. So I said, sure, I can set up my home economics over there, but I will let you know that I will only do it if you let the boys join in. Because traditionally, home economics is only for girls, and no boys would even think about it. So it took me 1 year, but I got the policy changed. And I have, right now, I have over 400 students over there. And over the years, my program, it was, it's tough working with children from all types of backgrounds, but it was so rewarding. It is so rewarding to see how food, basically, around food, how it cultivates the personalities and changes the thinking. So my goal was through food to counter violent extremism. They didn't know I was doing that, but they come from all sorts of backgrounds, and especially the boys, all the issues, anger issues, and all those things. It is successfully running right now, and I'm going to be moving to another area. I'm just adopting a school in Thar. If Thar, if you look it up, it's one of the poorest communities over there, and it's about 6 hours away from Karachi. So as we speak, my team is just visiting that, and we want to move on over there. So the so for me, food changes lives, connects you, and the stories I heard when I'm teaching these children made me cry, because they I taught them how to bake on a stove. Not everyone has a stove at home. And then my other program simultaneously is for women as well, where I teach them how to cook and bake, and healthy eating habits, and healthy lunches for the kids and all those things, and help them to set up businesses. So right now I have 150 women waiting for me to start another program. So I think I will be doing it, trying to set up a school over there, a full-fledged culinary school over there. So these are all my, I would say, all my inspirations, all that keeps me going every single day. I start my day at 5 a.m., and that's the time I'm connecting with my team in Karachi, sending them the curriculum, the recipes, because English is a very important part of my curriculum over there. And through the recipes, that's how they work on it. So, briefly about, am I running short of time? I talk a lot. Okay. So, I will tell you a little about Project Feast I'm working with over here. I have been, I sent my kids to my oldest daughter from Karachi after she did her A levels from there. She was 17, and she wanted to come here to study, and I was all for it. And I think that was also, I was more eager because I wanted my kids to do this because I couldn't. My father was very broad minded, but there was, it was not acceptable to send a daughter abroad. My brothers came here very young, but I couldn't come here. So that's fine. So when my kids wanted to come here, I sent my first daughter. At that time, everybody thought I was crazy sending a daughter, even then. So, but I stood up for it, and ever since, I started coming here, because it was not only sending them over here, but it was also keeping that connection with them too, and then of course trusting them. So as I started coming here, then all my kids came over here. So I've been coming here for the last 15 years, but now 6 months back I finally moved to Seattle, and I'm loving it over there, because I'm expanding my culinary learning as well. When I came here, it was very, I said, okay, so I am doing all this, but I need to get a, let's see if I can get a good permanent job as well. And at this stage, I just wanted something which I love to do. You reach a stage in life when you feel that I want to do something I love to do. I've been there, done that, done things which I didn't like to do, but I did them because I wanted to. I just got very lucky, and I connected with Project Feast. And I'm working with them as a chef educator, and we are training and giving hands-on training and computer skills as well to immigrants and refugees. It's a beautiful experience. Right now, we have the seventh cohort going on, and we have 3 apprentices right now. One is from Somalia, and 2 are from Mexico. And, they already come with so many stories. They already come with so many flavors and all that they have. It's just how you bring it out. So they've started to call me Mama. So it's just beautiful relationship, and it's beautiful to see them grow. It's a 4-month program, and it's the third, nearly end of October, first week of November, they graduate. It is beautiful to see, I would say, how they've bloomed, especially the ladies, because with the confidence they came with, they had no confidence. And eh, uh, we work together on that. It's a very small team we have there. We have a cafe over there as well, which was set up mainly to give them hands-on training. So we do catering, we run the cafe 3 times a week just for 3 hours, and we help them to do recipe writing, recipe testing, menu planning, and business skills. We are just right now, we are doing this business workshop from the library. So we want to empower them. And I had not imagined that I would actually get something I love to do so much. I drive every day from North Seattle to Kent, which is about a 50-minute drive. And in the beginning, I didn't have a car, so I used to take the bus, and it would take me 2 hours to go and 3 to 3.5 hours to come back. And my boss would be like, "Can you do this?" I said, "I love this. That's why I do this." So that's a bit about me. And any questions briefly, we can do that. Otherwise, when the Q&A, I think, where's Robert? Yeah, okay. So that's a little bit about me. At this point, if anybody has a short question, I would be happy to, yes.
Is the cuisine of Karachi different than the rest of the country?
So yes, that's a very good question about Karachi. So Karachi cuisine is definitely different. I was just talking to somebody that when you come down to Karachi, Karachi is a cosmopolitan city, and we have diverse people living over there from all religions and all backgrounds and cultures. A lot of Persian influence over there. A lot of Irani cuisine over there. A lot of Afghanis have come down as well. And it's the food in Karachi is very diverse as well as very, very flavorful. So we are heavy on meat over there. And of course, the vegetables are there too. But the spices are sharper. And the combination of spices over there, I would say, is very flavorful. As you move up from Karachi to Lahore, Lahore still has extremely flavorful food over there. But when you move up, even up north, you go up north and you will find that the flavor of the food changes to a milder tone. They are more meat based, definitely, and they, because then closer to Peshawar and NWFP, where their food is completely different. They would just add salt and black pepper and maybe just boil up the meat and have it with rice. And Karachi also is a port. So you get all the seafood over there. So flavorful, spicy. The fish over there is extremely popular. And we go fishing and crabbing, in the season. And there's this person called Captain something who is very popular. People go on his boat, and he has these spices which he just cooks over there. So Karachi is all about flavor and adventure and food, and the street food over there is just phenomenal. The kebab rolls over there and the chana chaat, right? Like the potato salad, we have the salad with the potatoes and the chickpeas, and the tamarind chutney, which is like a street food. You go in every neighborhood, you will have that, and people having that. Yeah. Anything else?
If you're ready to start your demos,
I am.
you
All
may
right.
begin.
Okay. So I'm going to be making the green chicken, and the green chicken, murg hara masala. Hara is green, so it's basically made with greens. And this recipe is the easiest, and it became so popular. And this is my motherhood recipe, basically. When my kids were growing up, and with a working mom, you have to find quick recipes to make, and this turned out to be something which my kids loved, and I would just put together, because sometimes my house was like my grandmother's house. I would have a lot of people visiting, and a lot of my kids' friends would be over for lunch. So that's the way I attracted them. I had a little cupboard as well, which was filled with goodies. So this is a very simple recipe. You can bake it. You can, and I think you guys baked it over here, which is even healthier. And you can cook it on the stove as well. So, and the more interesting part about this recipe is that, you know, we've got the breast fillet over here. Oh, let that heat up a little. But I have seen people giving it beautiful looks by cutting it into cubes, the chicken, and strips. So you can make it any way you want it. And I think the best time I had with this was I was teaching a class at Institute of Culinary Education over here to the students, and they, oh, sorry, no, I was in food and finance in New York, and this was the recipe we made. And I wanted a hands-on class, and I told them all, this is the recipe. I ran them through it, and now you show me your creations. And then I had my friend as a photographer, and we did food photography. It was beautiful what they did. They had rice, they had chicken, some of them had filet, some of them rolled it up. It was beautiful creations. So we'll just sort of just fry it a little from both sides. Just get it close together. Can I just, I won't take all of it. And we've got the fresh produce over here. I like to make all my recipes with, I don't like canned food. Everything has to be fresh. And that's how we always made it. In Pakistan, I always saw my grandmother and my mother, even the spices, all the mixes, they would be roasting it, making it themselves, and having fresh produce. You get really, really good produce in Karachi. So, so we've got the chicken going over here, and then we've got the chopped cilantro. Cilantro is something, one herb that we use a lot. And we've got the green onion and the ginger and the garlic, yogurt, black pepper, chili powder, and salt. While I'm cooking this, I would love to tell you a little about the chili over there, the red chili powder. The red chili powder traditionally is made out of pure chilies. There is no other mix in it. So the fresh chilies are grown in Thar, Sindh over there, and then they are grounded, and it's pure red. Maybe next time I come, I'm going to bring all these spices and show you. So there's this pepper, which is a national pepper called Dundee pepper, Dundi, which is, that's one thing I haven't been able to find anywhere. I bought half a suitcase full of it, and I ran out of it. I think I have to make another trip, and I carry that everywhere with me. They're round, and they are pretty hot, but so flavorful. So, so once these are done, just a little, we will just, do I have a spatula here? Yeah. I'm just going to pop everything in. So I'm going to get the cilantro in. That's the best part about this recipe. You just pop everything in and let it cook. Put in the ginger, some of the ginger I can leave for garnishing. I'll put in my favorite garlic. I love garlic. All the garlic and the green onions. So the chili, the green chili is totally up to you if you want to chop it up and make it a little more hot. Otherwise, you can put them whole as well. Turn this down a little. Oh, there you go. All right, so I have the yogurt. Our base of food is a lot tomato and yogurt. The curries that we make usually always have yogurt. I think this salt might be too much, but I'll just put half of it. And then the red chili pepper. And you've got this recipe in the book. And this recipe, I was so delighted and surprised that it sort of went viral. People would make this recipe and just send it to me. So I guess because it's so easy. So I'm just going to let it cook. Leave it on low. And that's it. You just let it cook. And we can cover it too, actually. Is this the lid? Okay. Because the yogurt is going to just release a little oil, water. I am not going to add any. Otherwise, it takes away the flavor. Turn this on low. Is this the lowest? All right. Okay, I'm going to get this. I'm going to put the green chilies, but a little later. I'm going to take these out and I will get this out of the way. You can keep this there. I'll leave this there. All right. Okay, so then we have while that is cooking, I could move on to the potatoes. Did you like the potatoes? Yeah, the chutney is, there's a tamarind chutney recipe in there. And there's another one which I have been just teaching at PCC, which has like also everybody is coming to the class for that chutney. So that's something which is already out there. So email me if you want that recipe. I can give it to you. So we've got the potatoes here. And it's just boiled potatoes, this skin on. Did you see the little packets of potatoes? Do we have that somewhere that you made this with? Thank you. Yeah, they turned out so good. It's the baby Dutch yellow potatoes from here, which are amazing. So I would like to just tell you a little about the spices. The spices are really simple, but the main part is the roasting of the spices. I always remember that aroma coming out of the kitchen. My grandmother, I knew she was roasting spices. And then, of course, we would start coughing and sneezing too. But it's the best thing that you can do with spices. It just completely changes the flavor, it enhances it. But one little tip which I learned by making mistakes is that never roast salt. Always add the salt afterwards. Otherwise, if when you roast salt with it, it changes the color, the texture, and the flavor, and almost sometimes makes it a little bitter. So dry roasting the spices is like the key to making flavorful food. And the dry roasted spices were also in the beef, which you have the recipe for. So basically, this is just the spices in there. Do you want more or do you want less? More? All of it? All of it. All right, just do it. All right, so I've got the lemon juice. And I have the tamarind paste as well. So the other, the one with the chickpeas I was talking about, the recipe, the base of that is the tamarind chutney. You just make the tamarind chutney and you mix it in that. It's amazing. So we just mix this together. It's very easy, just a few ingredients, mixing it together. And the best part is that you could just make this ahead of time, even a day before is even better. You can just cling wrap it and put it away in the fridge. And another thing is that you can have this hot or cold. It can be either. I have some gloves are right here. Okay. So we've got, I think these are tortilla chips, which I use over here. Otherwise, if you go to the Indian or the Pakistani stores, you'll find the traditional papri. It's called PAPDI, papri, which is sometimes made out of regular flour, sometimes corn flour. So, and it's got a little hint of spice in it. So that is a traditional thing that we garnish this with. But if you don't have this, you just need a crunch up there. So you can just add the tortilla chips. So once this is done, we can just garnish it with cilantro. Ah, who loves cilantro? Yeah, everybody. Yeah. I,
People who think it tastes like soapy water.
oh, so look who's here. My mom and my brother have joined. So my mom is, of course, the reason why I'm here, the recipes and the book. She used to be in the Navy, and she's done all these adventurous things. I think I've gone on her. And she would she said, yeah, she went through all that rigorous training as well. So done with this, and then some mint leaves right at the end just adds to the flavor. And just top it. And we are ready to eat. All right, I'm done. So let's take a look at the chicken. Oh, there you go. Can you see the chicken? Yeah. And the smell, can you smell it? No. But it smells so good. And it is so simple to make. And just dish it out, and you can you smell it now? Yeah. So, like I said, at this point, you can just chop up the chilies. Oh, these are great chilies. Yeah, beautiful. So just let them cook. And this is ready too. Just in a few minutes, let it cook down. I like my chicken to be a little tender for this. So, but it's totally up to you how well cooked you want it. And, the way you've already had it today. So that's the way it is. So that is it.